Hello. Well, I'm in the heart of the Gwenup mining district. It's in Cornwall, UK, just east of the town of Redruth, and this was the place that was known 200 years ago, beginning of the 19th century, as the richest square mile in the world. A large quantity of the early industrial world's copper and its tin and various other things like arsenic were all produced within a few miles of here. And if you look around, it's quite an interesting, in fact it's a very interesting post-industrial landscape. So just spin about a minute. Here's in the days of the early steam engines. Great things belching smoke, very, very noisy affairs. And you have to imagine this land being worked by men, women, children, animals, and the whole place absolutely bustling. Behind me here is a tower of one of the great engines. There's skeletal engine houses all around the landscape, and just have a look down here. It's a mine shaft. It's been capped, fortunately. I'll point my camera down, I don't know how much we'll be able to see, but that goes down a long way. 20 years ago, my wife and I, we took our family, we had 3 young children at the time. We were fed up with England. I was in particular fed up of the traffic and the money-seeking culture and the pollution and everything. And we settled in a part of northern France, Normandy, that was very rural, very quiet, very cheap land. we went out there on spec, and we immediately found we could buy 6 acres of land and a farmhouse, which we did, with the money we'd taken from selling a house in England. And we settled there. We lived in northern France for 5 quite happy years. We also found that we weren't alone. There was quite a collection of expats there, ex-English, most of whom were there for similar reasons. They just got fed up with England, and they all settled in Normandy, the same as us, because it was cheap and it had good growing land. Most people had bits of land. We lived there for 5 years and then came back. There were various economic reasons for that, mainly the 2007-2008 collapse of the banking system torpedoed my work. I work in IT. I couldn't work remotely at that time. We decided also to put the children back in English school. And another thing was the sense that we weren't ever going to be French farmers. Our roots were in England. So we came back. It took us a few years to sell the house in France, and we lost a lot of money as well. So the chance of living the real good life back in England was close to us then. But we could afford to live in a town, and that's what we did. I've had plenty of time since then to think about what we were doing there, why we moved, and what I wanted for the future. And I think very much we were, and this probably goes for a lot of other English out there that moved out at the time, we were running away. We weren't running to, we had no sense really of what we wanted to do. We just wanted to escape from what we saw as a crowded and polluted island, England at the time. And I now realise that that's no way to live a life, and it's no example to give your children either. If you're worried about the future, and I'm quite an environmental person, and you're worried about pollution and you're worried about the environment your children might grow up in, well, you've got to engage. You've got to get out there and start changing things, because running away you can't run far enough. You can't escape the world. You can for a little while, and you can pretend for a little while longer. But ultimately, you're going to want to engage. And I've turned around totally. I think that anyone that's worried about pollution or environmental issues and wants a better life for themselves, and particularly for their children, they should look around them first. Look in the grey spaces, the towns, the concrete, the old mining waste tips. That's where the problem lies, and that's where the solution will come from. Now, this land was used by the industrialists 200 years ago, thoroughly abused as well. It's covered in quite a toxic mixture of arsenic, heavy metals like cadmium, things like that. And it's actually quite a dangerous place to be. The Department of the Environment is concerned about public access to it. But the Cornish still walk their dogs here and ride mountain bikes and things, so they're finding use for it. But I think this landscape is a poster child for what a lot of Britain could end up looking like in another 100 years' time. As we slide down the back slope of post-industrialisation, it doesn't take much imagination to realise that the vast areas of concrete and tarmac that our country is covered with are going to deteriorate. They're not going to be very nice places in an environmental sense, but they're also not going to go away. What are we going to do with them? Meanwhile, there's sort of back to nature types like myself trying to seek refuges in more and more obscure parts of the world, places that we think would be nice places to grow food, unpolluted, bring up our children and so on. But those places are becoming smaller, whereas the industrial landscapes and the post-industrial landscapes are getting ever larger. So the challenges of the future, I think the challenge for anyone that's of an environmental persuasion or just wants to be a bit self-sufficient is not to run away, but to confront. What are we going to do with landscapes like this? Where are we going to grow our food in the future? What kind of contamination exists when you live in a landscape like this? What will our children look forward to? What will their aspirations be? If we all fight over smaller and smaller green enclaves, then there's not going to be much of a future left at all. The only way that we can progress as a society, and as I said, we go down the downslope of post-industrialisation in Britain, is to recolonise the wastelands, the grey zones, the towns, the tarmac. There really is a major job to be done. And I think that philosophies like permaculture, the old self-sufficiency movement, can start to regenerate the wasteland. Whereas running away achieves nothing. It satisfies an urge, and it's one natural in all of humanity to find somewhere nice for children to be. But it's not the solution long term. Another issue is simple affordability. If you are rich enough to be able to buy a few acres and settle on it, you've joined the 1%. Basically, the rest of the country can't do that. In fact, the more little bits of land, little small holdings are gobbled up, the more expensive they become, and there's nothing for anyone else. The real mission in a country like Britain, as it post-industrialises, is in the grey zones, in the ex-mining areas, the car parks, the crumbling down multi-stories. In my local city of Truro, they're about to demolish one multi-storey car park that was built in the 60s. No plans to redevelop it, it's just going to be blasted. That's the second one to come down in the city. An area like that would make a community garden. It could make allotments. Lots of things could happen to it, but people have got to engage. As fighting over little green enclaves way out of town is a hiding to nothing, and also it's seeking to disappear from a world that really could use a bit more help.